Dante Volkov's hand crushed Isabella Vega's throat, lifting her off the ground. Her feet kicked wildly, fingers clawing at his wrist, gasping for air that wouldn't come. The restaurant went silent, every customer frozen, too terrified to move. "You want to know what happens when people don't pay me?" Volkov's accent made each word sharp as broken glass. He squeezed harder. Isabella's face turned purple. Her eyes rolled back. In the corner booth, Commander Marcus Brennan's coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. Under the table, Atlas, 90 pounds of Belgian Malinois, went rigid, a low growl building in his chest. Volkov had just made his first mistake. He'd hurt someone in front of a Navy SEAL. His second mistake would be not letting go when Hawk stood up. Before we dive into this story, hit that subscribe button and stay with us until the very end. Comment below what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now, let's begin. The afternoon heat in Miami pressed down like a physical weight. But Hawk barely noticed. He'd been sitting in Casa Corazon for the past hour, nursing coffee that had gone cold 20 minutes ago. He didn't mind cold coffee. He'd drunk worse in Mosul, eaten worse in places he couldn't name, slept in conditions that would break most men. At 38, Hawk looked like what he was, a man built by necessity, not vanity. Short, dark hair, regulation cut out of habit. Broad shoulders that still filled out his faded navy t-shirt. Scars on his hands, the kind that came from work, not accidents. His eyes, gray-blue like winter ocean, tracked every movement in the restaurant with automated precision. Under the table, Atlas lay perfectly still. The Belgian Malinois' tan coat gleamed under the fluorescent lights. At 6 years old, Atlas was in his prime. Powerful chest, alert amber eyes, ears that swiveled toward every sound. He wore a vest marked, "Military Working Dog, Do Not Disturb," in reflective letters. Atlas wasn't just Hawk's companion. He was Hawk's responsibility, his partner, the only other survivor from the Mosul mission that had gone catastrophically wrong. When the IED detonated, when shrapnel tore through Hawk's shoulder and ended his SEAL career, Atlas had dragged him to cover, stayed with him through the medevac, refused to leave even when the Navy tried to reassign him. They'd retired together, officially, but neither of them knew how to actually retire. Hawk's phone buzzed. Text from his ex-wife, Linda. "Elena asked about you again. She wants to visit this summer. Can you handle that?" Hawk stared at the message. His daughter was 16 now. He'd missed her 14th birthday because of a mission in Syria. Missed her 15th because he was in rehab learning to use his shoulder again. Now he was in Miami, supposedly building a new life, and he still didn't know how to be a father. "Tell her I'd love that," he typed back. "I'm getting settled here. Are you? Or are you just running from Virginia?" Hawk didn't answer. He looked at the menu instead. Ropa vieja was $12. Arroz con pollo was $10. His wallet held exactly $53, enough for the week if he was careful. His disability pay didn't kick in for another 2 weeks. A young woman approached his table. Her name tag read Isabella in handwritten script. She was maybe 24, petite, with dark hair pulled into a bun that Miami humidity had defeated hours ago. Freckles scattered across olive skin. Dark circles under hazel eyes that worked hard to maintain kindness despite obvious exhaustion. "More coffee?" Her voice was soft, almost apologetic. Hawk nodded. "And the black bean soup, please." Isabella smiled. The real kind, not the automatic service industry version. "Good choice. My father makes the best in Miami. I'm biased, but it's true." She glanced down at Atlas. Most servers ignored service dogs, trained not to engage. But Isabella knelt slowly, respectfully, making eye contact with Hawk first. "May I?" He's friendly, off-duty. Isabella extended her hand. Atlas sniffed once, then his tail wagged, a rare display of approval. She scratched behind his ears with the practiced touch of someone who'd grown up with dogs. Beautiful boy. Belgian Malinois? Yeah, military working dog. Retired, like me. Thank you for your service, both of you. She stood, still smiling. I'll get your order in. She disappeared into the kitchen. Hawk heard rapid Spanish, Isabella talking to someone, probably her father. The tone was affectionate, familiar. Family business, the kind that survived on thin margins and love. The restaurant was small, maybe 20 tables, half occupied by locals on late lunch. Construction workers with sun-damaged skin, a couple of older women sharing plates, a family with 2 young kids who kept dropping crayons. Working-class neighborhood, the kind where people knew each other's names and troubles. Hawk liked it. It reminded him of the diner near Dam Neck in Virginia Beach, where he'd eaten breakfast every morning for 3 years. Where being a SEAL didn't matter as much as being a regular customer who tipped well and didn't cause trouble. The door opened. The energy in the restaurant shifted instantly, like air pressure dropping before a hurricane. 3 men entered. The first was massive. 6'5", built like violence was his full-time job. Expensive suit that couldn't hide the predator underneath. Blonde hair slicked back, cold blue eyes that assessed the room like a tax collector evaluating assets. 2 more men followed, smaller but no less dangerous. Hands in jacket pockets, suggesting concealed weapons. The big man didn't wait to be seated. He chose the center table, the one with the best sightlines to the door and the kitchen. Territorial. Dominant. Hawk's training kicked in automatically. Threat assessment. 3 hostile actors, 2 visibly armed. Tactical positioning suggests experienced operators or organized crime muscle. Civilians present. 17 adults, 2 children. Exits. Front door. Kitchen access to rear alley. Bathroom window possibly viable for emergency egress. Under the table, Atlas sensed the shift. His body tightened. Not aggressive yet, but ready. An older man emerged from the kitchen. Late 50s, gray hair, kind face lined with years of hard work. He wore an apron stained with sofrito. When he saw the big man, his expression collapsed into fear. "Mr. Volkov," the older man's voice shook. I wasn't expecting you today." Clearly. The big man, Volkov, spoke with a heavy Eastern European accent that made every word sound like a threat. "Otherwise you would have my money ready." "I have most of it. Just need 1 more week, I swear." 1 more week. Volkov's laugh was ugly. "Carlos, you said that last month, and the month before. My patience is not infinite, and it is very, very expensive." Carlos, the older man, Isabella's father, based on the resemblance, twisted the dish towel in his hands. "Business has been slow. The tourist season." "I don't care about your excuses. I care about my money." Volkov leaned back, making himself comfortable. $40,000. That's what you borrowed. With interest, you now owe me $65,000. The original loan was $20,000. You said the original terms were clear. You signed the papers. You understood the interest. And now you owe me $65,000. Volkov's voice hardened. "Unless you'd like to renegotiate?" Carlos's face went pale. "Please, just give me 2 more weeks. I can get you $15,000 by then." $15,000 is not $65,000. Isabella appeared from the kitchen carrying Hawk's soup. She froze when she saw Volkov, the bowl trembling in her hands. Volkov's eyes locked onto her. His expression shifted from anger to something predatory. "Carlos." Volkov's voice went soft, which somehow made it more dangerous. You never mentioned you had such a beautiful daughter. Carlos moved between Volkov and Isabella. Leave her out of this. This is business between us. Is it? Because I'm looking at an asset you haven't declared. Volkov stood, towering over Carlos. Your daughter. How old? She's not part of any deal. 24. Volkov answered his own question, eyes still on Isabella. Medical student at University of Miami. Working to help Daddy's failing restaurant. Isabella found her voice. I'm in my second year. This restaurant is my father's life work. We're going to pay you back. Just give us time. Time is money, pequeña Paloma. And your father has wasted too much of both. Volkov took a step toward her. Carlos grabbed his arm. Don't you touch her. Volkov's backhand was casual, almost lazy. It caught Carlos across the face, hard enough to spin him. The older man crashed into a table, plates shattering. Papa! Isabella screamed. She rushed toward her father. Volkov caught her arm, yanked her back with brutal strength. Let me go! Isabella struggled, trying to pull free. I think we can renegotiate after all. Volkov's grip tightened. Your father owes me $65,000. But I'm a reasonable man. I can be flexible about payment terms, if you're willing to be flexible too. The implication was clear. Disgusting. The kind of offer that turned a person into currency. Carlos tried to stand, blood running from his nose. You bastard! One of Volkov's men moved fast, kicked Carlos's legs out. The older man went down hard. Isabella's eyes filled with tears, not from pain, but from helpless rage. You can't do this! This is illegal! This is business, and you, pequeña Paloma, are about to learn how business works in the real world. Volkov grabbed her throat with one massive hand. Isabella's eyes went wide. She clawed at his wrist, gasping. You see this, Carlos? Volkov squeezed, lifting Isabella slightly off her feet. This is what happens when people waste my time. This is what happens when they make me come collect what's already mine. Isabella's face turned red, then darker. Her kicks grew weaker. The restaurant was frozen. The construction workers looked at their plates. The older women gripped each other's hands, but didn't move. The family with young children. The father pulled his kids close, shielding their eyes, but he didn't stand up. Fear has gravity. It pulls people down, keeps them seated, tells them that intervention means becoming the next victim. But Marcus Brennan had spent 14 years as a Navy SEAL, specifically training to override fear, to act when others froze, to step forward when every instinct screamed to step back. Under the table, Atlas's growl vibrated through the floor. Low, controlled, dangerous. The sound of a weapon being armed. Hawk set down his coffee cup, stood slowly. His movement drew every eye in the restaurant, but Hawk's focus was singular, total. He looked at Volkov, at Isabella's purpling face, at the precise angle of Volkov's thumb against her carotid artery. 30 seconds until unconsciousness, 2 minutes until brain damage, 4 minutes until death. Hawk had seen men strangled before. In combat, in training simulations, in the aftermath of violence that left bodies cold on foreign soil. He knew exactly what he was looking at, and exactly how long Isabella had. Let her go. Hawk's voice cut through the silence. Not loud, not aggressive, just absolutely certain. Volkov's head turned. He saw a man in faded jeans and a navy t-shirt. Nothing particularly impressive about his size or stance. His eyes dismissed Hawk in a heartbeat. This doesn't concern you, sailor. Sit down. I said let her go. Volkov laughed, a genuine amused sound. Or what? You'll file a complaint? Call the police? He squeezed Isabella's throat harder. She made a strangled sound, her eyes rolling back. This is a private business matter, and you are not involved. Hawk took one step forward. Just one. But something in the quality of his movement, the predatory economy, the complete absence of hesitation, made Volkov's smile falter slightly. You have 3 seconds to release her, Hawk said. After that, I make you release her. Your choice. You're threatening me? Volkov's face darkened. Do you know who I am? Don't care. 3. I own this neighborhood. I own the police. 2. Volkov's men moved, hands going to concealed weapons. But they hesitated, uncertain. Something about Hawk, the absolute calm, the professional assessment in his eyes, suggested this wasn't a random Good Samaritan having a hero moment. This was something else, something they recognized from instinct. A predator, a real one. You're making a very big mistake. 1. Volkov shoved Isabella away. She collapsed, gasping, hands clutching her bruised throat. Carlos scrambled to her side, pulling her behind him. There. Volkov spread his hands, false reasonableness. See? No problem. Everyone calm down. You can go back to your cheap soup now, hero. But Hawk didn't move, didn't sit. His eyes stayed locked on Volkov. You're going to leave this restaurant, Hawk said. You're not going to come back. And you're going to forget this family owes you anything. The restaurant held its collective breath. Volkov stared at Hawk. Then he laughed, long, loud, theatrical. His men joined in, the sound harsh and mocking. You think you can tell me what to do? You think your little uniform scares me? Volkov stepped closer, using his height advantage, trying to intimidate through presence. I have killed men, sailor. Real men. Not pretend soldiers playing war games. I've killed men too, Hawk said quietly. Difference is, mine were trying to kill me back. Makes it fair. The laughter died. Volkov's expression shifted. He was reading Hawk now, really reading him. Seeing past the calm exterior to the operational experience underneath. Seeing the scars on Hawk's hands, the faint line near his eye where shrapnel had carved too close, the 1,000-yard stare that never quite left men who'd seen real combat. Navy SEAL, Volkov's voice flattened. That's what you are, I can tell. Was. Medically retired, but yeah. Explains the arrogance, thinking you're special, thinking rules don't apply. Volkov gestured to his men. But here's the thing about SEALs. You're only dangerous when you have backup. When you have air support and technology and the whole military behind you. He smiled. Here, you're alone. And the lone men bleed the same as everyone else. Under the table, Atlas stood slowly. Every eye in the restaurant tracked the movement. The Belgian Malinois was bigger than most people expected. 90 pounds of bone, muscle, and training. His amber eyes were locked on Volkov with the focus of a missile-acquiring target. Not alone, Hawk said. Volkov looked at Atlas, looked back at Hawk. His calculation was visible, weighing risks, potential costs, likelihood of success. Then he smiled. You know what? You're right. I'm going to leave. For now. He adjusted his expensive suit. But this isn't over. This debt doesn't disappear because some retired soldier plays white knight. Carlos still owes me. And I always collect. He turned toward the door, then paused, looked back at Isabella, still on the floor, still struggling to breathe. You're very pretty, pequeña paloma. Worth at least 65,000, maybe more. His smile widened. I'll be seeing you again soon. Volkov and his men left. The door closed behind them with a soft chime that felt obscene against the violence that had just unfolded. The restaurant exhaled. Conversation started again, shaky, uncertain. The construction workers suddenly found their food fascinating. The family with kids hurried out, not wanting to be involved. Hawk knelt beside Isabella and Carlos. You need medical attention. That bruising. No hospitals. Carlos's voice was firm despite his fear. No police. No reports. You don't understand. Volkov wasn't lying. He owns the police in this neighborhood. We report this, they'll make it worse. He assaulted your daughter in front of witnesses who will all suddenly not remember anything when questioned. Carlos helped Isabella to her feet. This is how it works here. This is how it's always worked. Isabella found her voice, hoarse, damaged. He's right. The police, Sergeant Ramirez, Detective Cole, they're on Volkov's payroll. Everyone knows it. Everyone's too afraid to say it. Hawk's jaw tightened. Then you fight back a different way. Federal authorities, FBI, they investigate. And while they investigate, Volkov burns down my restaurant, hurts my daughter, kills me. Carlos shook his head. I appreciate what you did. You saved Isabella's life. But you've also made things worse. Much worse. How? Because now Volkov knows someone stood up to him. Someone challenged his authority. He can't let that stand. It makes him look weak. Carlos's voice was bitter, resigned. He'll come back. And next time he'll bring more men, more guns. And he won't be so easy to scare off. Isabella touched her bruised throat gingerly. What were you going to do if he hadn't let me go? Hawk looked at her, at the fear in her eyes, at the bruises already forming in the shape of Volkov's fingers. Whatever was necessary. You would have fought them. 3 armed men. Yes. Why? Her voice cracked. You don't know us. You don't owe us anything. Why would you risk your life? Hawk didn't answer immediately. How could he explain 14 years of training that boiled down to one simple principle? Protect those who can't protect themselves. How could he articulate the weight of watching 3 teammates die because he'd been too slow, too hesitant, too human? How could he make her understand that doing nothing wasn't an option for him anymore? Not after Mosul. Not after the IED. Not after waking up every night to the sound of explosions that only existed in memory. Because no one else did, Hawk said finally. Everyone saw. Everyone knew what was happening. And everyone looked away. I can't do that. Can't or won't. Same thing. Isabella's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. I thought I was going to die. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't. Her voice broke. Carlos pulled her into a crushing hug. Shh, mija, you're safe now. You're safe. But Hawk knew that wasn't true. Safety was temporary. Volkov would come back. Men like him always did. Violence delayed wasn't violence prevented. Hawk's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Commander Brennan? Speaking. This is Special Agent Sarah Torres, FBI Miami Field Office. We need to talk about Dante Volkov, about what you just did, and about how we can make sure it actually matters. Hawk looked at Isabella, at Carlos, at the restaurant that was going to become a battlefield whether they wanted it or not. I'm listening. Not over the phone, Agent Torres said. Meet me at Versailles Cafe, 2 blocks east of your location. 30 minutes. Come alone. A pause. Well, you and the dog. The line went dead before Hawk could respond. Carlos was helping Isabella into a chair, bringing ice wrapped in a towel. Her hand shook as she pressed it against her throat. Hawk watched the tremor, recognized it. Post-traumatic stress response, the body processing violence after the immediate threat passed. Who is that? Carlos asked. FBI. Hawk looked at his soup, untouched, cold now. His appetite had disappeared the moment Volkov's hand closed around Isabella's throat. They want to talk about Volkov. Don't. Isabella's voice was raw, damaged. Don't get involved with him. The FBI came around 6 months ago, asked questions, made promises. Then Volkov found out who'd been talking and... She stopped, closed her eyes. And what? Hawk pressed. Carlos answered for her. Maria Santos. She owned the bakery 3 streets over. She testified to the FBI about Volkov's loan operation. 2 weeks later, her bakery burned down. She was inside. Hawk's hands clenched into fists. She died? 3rd-degree burns over 60% of her body. Spent 4 months in the hospital. Lost everything. Her business, her savings. Almost her life. Carlos's voice was hollow. The fire marshal ruled it accidental. Faulty wiring. But everyone knew. Everyone knows what happens when you cross Volkov. So you just let him win? We survive. That's what we do. We pay. We endure. We survive. Carlos looked at his daughter, at the bruises darkening on her throat. And we pray tomorrow is better than today. Hawk stood. I'm going to meet with the FBI agent, see what they know, what they can actually do. They can't do anything, Isabella said. Not against Volkov. He's too connected, too protected. Then I'll find out who protects him and break that protection. Atlas stood when Hawk did, perfectly synchronized. Together, they walked toward the door. Commander, Isabella's voice stopped him. If you do this, if you really go after Volkov, he'll destroy you. He has connections everywhere. Police, city council, judges, even some federal agents are on his payroll. You think you're helping, but you're just painting a target on yourself. Hawk looked back at her, at the bruises in the shape of Volkov's fingers, at the fear that hadn't left her eyes even after he'd gone. Target's already painted. Volkov made that decision when he put his hands on you. Outside, the Miami heat was brutal. Hawk's truck, a beat-up Ford F-150 with 180,000 miles and a transmission that made alarming noises, sat in the parking lot like a monument to better days. He'd bought it used 7 years ago, back when SEAL pay seemed sufficient, back before medical retirement and disability ratings, and struggling to afford soup. Atlas jumped into the passenger seat, immediately sticking his head out the window. Even after 6 years together, the dog's joy at simple things never faded. Hawk envied that, the ability to find happiness in wind and movement and being alive. Versailles Cafe was exactly what Hawk expected. Small, local, the kind of place where conversations could happen without attracting attention. He parked, scanned the area out of habit. No visible surveillance, but that didn't mean it wasn't there. Agent Sarah Torres sat at a corner table, back to the wall. Late 30s, sharp eyes, dark hair pulled into a professional bun. She wore a blazer that didn't quite hide the service weapon at her hip. When Hawk entered, she assessed him the way he'd assessed Volkov, cataloging threats, calculating risks. Commander Brennan, thank you for coming. Hawk sat across from her. Atlas settled under the table, watchful but calm. How'd you know what happened at the restaurant? I've had surveillance on Volkov for 3 years. Casa Corazon is one of 19 businesses he's actively extorting. We have cameras, we have audio, We have documentation. Torres pulled out a tablet, brought up footage, including what you just did. The video showed the entire confrontation. Volkov strangling Isabella, Hawk standing, the tense exchange, Volkov's retreat. That's assault, Hawk said. Attempted murder. You have it on camera. Arrest him. With what evidence? Volkov will claim it was a misunderstanding, that he was demonstrating a self-defense technique, that Isabella consented as part of training. Torres's frustration was evident. He's done this before. We arrest him, his lawyers have him out in 6 hours. Witnesses recant, evidence disappears, and then he retaliates against whoever reported him. Maria Santos. Torres's expression darkened. You know about that? Carlos told me. Volkov burned down her bakery. Can't prove it. Just like we can't prove the 9 other accidents that happened to people who crossed him. Car crashes, home invasions. One guy fell off a building. All ruled accidental or unsolved. Torres leaned forward. Dante Volkov is a Ukrainian crime boss who's built an empire in Miami over 15 years. Loan sharking, extortion, money laundering, suspected human trafficking. We estimate he controls 70% of organized crime in Little Havana. And we can't touch him. Why not? Because he owns people. Police officers, city officials. He's got dirt on a circuit court judge. And he's smart. Everything is layered, protected, deniable. Torres's eyes locked onto Hawk's. We need someone on the inside. Someone he can't intimidate. Someone who's already pissed him off publicly. Hawk understood. You want me to be bait. I want you to be an opportunity. Volkov can't let what you did stand. It makes him look weak. He'll come after you. Threats, intimidation, violence. And every move he makes is evidence. Every threat is a charge. Every assault builds the RICO case we've been trying to build for 3 years. Hawk studied her. You've tried this before, using someone as bait. Didn't work out. Torres hesitated. Twice. First was a former Marine. Tough guy. Thought he could handle it. Volkov's men put him in the hospital. 14 broken bones. Victim refused to testify. Left the state. And the second? Undercover agent. She lasted 3 weeks before Volkov figured out she was federal. We found her car in Biscayne Bay. Torres's voice dropped. Never found her. And you think I'll do better? I think you're different. You're not undercover. You're exactly what you appear to be. A Navy SEAL who saw something wrong and stepped in. That authenticity is valuable. Volkov can't dismiss you as easily. She pulled up another file. And Commander, I've read your service record. Naval Special Warfare Development Group. 14 years. 53 successful operations. Silver Star for valor in Mosul, when you held off an entire insurgent assault for 8 hours while your team evacuated wounded. Torres closed the tablet. You're not some civilian playing hero. You're the real thing. I'm medically retired. My combat days are over. Are they? Because what I saw in that surveillance footage looked a lot like combat readiness to me. Hawk didn't answer. Torres continued. Here's my proposal. You stay in Miami. You continue to be visible. You go to places Volkov owns, places he controls. You show him you're not afraid. He'll escalate. We document everything. Build a case so solid even his corrupt judge can't dismiss it. And the Vegas? Isabella and Carlos? We put them in protective custody. Relocate them temporarily until the case is built. They'll lose their restaurant, their livelihood. Better than losing their lives. Torres's voice softened. Commander, Isabella Vega is the 19th woman Volkov has assaulted this year. The 19th. Most don't report it because they're terrified. The ones who do, their cases get buried. But if we take down Volkov's entire organization, all those women get justice. All those businesses get freed from his extortion. The whole neighborhood gets to breathe again. Hawk looked at Atlas. The dog's amber eyes were fixed on him, trusting, waiting. What's your timeline? 2 weeks, maybe 3. Long enough to provoke multiple documented incidents. Then we execute warrants, flip his associates, dismantle the network. And if he decides to skip documentation and just kill me? He won't. Not immediately. Killing a Navy SEAL, even retired, brings federal heat he can't control. He'll try to break you first, make an example, show the neighborhood what happens to people who challenge him. Torres met Hawk's eyes. But you won't break, will you? Hawk thought about Mosul, about holding position while his team extracted, about watching teammates die while he provided covering fire, about the IED that ended his career, but not his purpose. No, I won't break. Then we have a deal? Before Hawk could answer, his phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. Stay away from FBI. Stay away from Vega family. Last warning. D. Hawk showed it to Torres. She smiled grimly. He works fast, has sources everywhere, probably has someone in Miami PD monitoring FBI activity. She pulled out a burner phone. Use this, encrypted. Only I have the number. When Volkov makes his move, you call me immediately. Hawk pocketed the phone. There's one condition. Name it. When this is over, when Volkov goes down, the Vega family's debt is wiped clean. Whatever he claims they owe, it's canceled. Their restaurant stays theirs. Done. Federal asset forfeiture will cover it. They shook hands. As Hawk stood to leave, Torres called after him. Commander, one more thing. Be careful with Detective Raymond Cole. He's not just corrupt, he's Volkov's primary protection. He'll tip off Volkov to every move you make. Trust him with nothing. Hawk left the cafe, sat in his truck for a long moment, engine off, thinking. Atlas whined softly, sensing Hawk's internal conflict. I know, boy, I know. Hawk scratched behind Atlas's ears. We came to Miami to retire, get away from violence, figure out what normal life looks like. Instead, we walked into another war. Atlas licked Hawk's hand. Simple, trusting. Hawk's phone rang. Carlos Vega. Commander, you need to come back to the restaurant. Now. Isabella, she's not okay. Please, just come. Hawk was moving before Carlos finished speaking. He reached Casa Corazon in 6 minutes, found Isabella in the back office, curled in a chair, shaking violently. Carlos stood helplessly nearby. She won't talk to me, Carlos said. Won't let me touch her. She just keeps saying, I can't breathe, over and over. Panic attack. Hawk recognized it instantly. He'd had enough of them after Mosul. He knelt in front of Isabella's chair, didn't touch her, just spoke quietly. Isabella, I'm here. You're safe. Volkov's gone. She looked up. Her eyes were wild, unfocused. I can't. His hand. I can still feel. I know you can. That's normal. Your body is processing trauma. It feels real because your brain is trying to make sense of what happened. Make it stop. Please make it stop. I can't make it stop, but I can help you breathe through it. Look at me, just me. Forget everything else. Isabella's eyes locked onto his. In through your nose, count of 4. Hold it, count of 4. Out through your mouth, count of 4. Can you do that with me? She tried, failed, gasped. That's okay, try again. In. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time she managed it. They breathed together for 5 minutes. Slowly, Isabella's shaking subsided. Her eyes cleared. "How did you know how to do that?" she asked finally. "Because I've had panic attacks. After combat. After my team died. After the explosion that ended my career." Hawk sat back on his heels. "It gets better. Not quickly, not easily, but it gets better." "I thought I was going to die." Her voice broke. "His hand around my throat, squeezing, and I couldn't stop him. I was completely helpless." "You're not helpless now." "Aren't I? He's going to come back. He said so. And next time you might not be there." "Next time he'll—" She couldn't finish. Carlos spoke up. "That FBI agent called me too. Wants us in protective custody. Says we have to leave tonight." "No." Isabella's response was immediate. "This is our home, our business. I won't let him drive us out." "Mija, it's not safe." "It's never been safe. Not for months. Not since Volkov started coming around." Isabella stood, pacing. "You know what he told me when you were in the kitchen? He said I wasn't the first, that he'd trained other women, taught them to be respectful, and that if I was smart, I'd learn from their example." Hawk's blood went cold. "Other women? He told you about other victims?" "Not names, just that I should ask around, find out what happens to pretty girls who think they're too good for him." Isabella's hands clenched into fists. I think Maria Santos wasn't his only victim. I think there are more women he's hurt. Women who are too terrified to report it." Torres had said 19 women this year. How many more in previous years? How many victims buried under fear and corruption? Hawk's decision crystallized in that moment. This wasn't just about protecting the Vega family. This was about every victim Volkov had created. Every person living in fear. Every business owner paying protection money to a predator. "I'm going to stop him," Hawk said. "Not just for you. For all of them." "How?" Isabella demanded. "The police won't help. The FBI has been trying for 3 years. "By making him come after me. By giving him a target he can't resist. And by documenting every move he makes until we have enough evidence to bury him." Carlos shook his head. "That's suicide." "No, that's tactics. Volkov thinks he's untouchable because he controls the local power structure. But he's not untouchable. He's just never faced someone who knows how to fight back." Hawk stood. "I need you both to do something for me. Think about every person in this neighborhood Volkov has hurt. Every business owner he's threatened. Every victim he's assaulted. Make me a list." "Why?" Isabella asked. "Because victims become witnesses when they're not alone. When they see someone else standing up. When they realize the predator can bleed." Isabella stared at him. "You really think you can take him down?" "I know I can. Question is whether you trust me enough to help." She looked at her father, at the office where they'd built a business from nothing, at the bruises on her own throat. "What do you need?" 20 minutes later, Hawk had a list of 14 names. Small business owners, restaurant workers, 2 young women who'd been assaulted by Volkov and never reported it. One name made Hawk's hands shake. Jessica Morales, age 19, worked at a dry cleaner on 8th Street. Volkov had assaulted her 7 months ago. She'd tried to report it. Her case was handled by Detective Raymond Cole. It went nowhere. 2 weeks after reporting, Jessica's apartment was broken into. She was beaten unconscious. woke up in the hospital with a message carved into her forearm. Learn to be quiet. She left Miami the day she was discharged, Isabella said, her voice hollow. Never came back. Her mother still lives here, won't talk about what happened. Too afraid. He's done this to 19-year-olds, Hawk said, his voice tight with controlled rage. Destroyed lives, burned businesses, killed at least one woman we know about. And he's done it for 15 years because no one could stop him. Can you? Carlos asked quietly. Really stop him? I've taken down worse men in worse places with worse odds. Volkov's got money and corrupt cops, but he's never fought a SEAL. Hawk's burner phone buzzed. Torres. Volkov knows about our meeting. He's planning something for tonight. Nightclub called the Crimson Room. His territory. High-value targets will be there. Other business owners he's collecting from. If you show up, it sends a message, but it's also dangerous as hell. Hawk texted back. What time? 11 p.m., VIP section. He'll have 8 to 10 men there, all armed. Good. More witnesses when he makes his move. Commander, this isn't a mission. You're not going in with backup. I have Atlas. That's all the backup I need. He pocketed the phone, looked at Carlos and Isabella. Tonight, Volkov's going to get his first lesson, that the neighborhood he terrorized has someone who terrorizes back. Isabella touched his arm. Please don't get yourself killed. I couldn't handle someone else dying because of me. No one's dying except maybe Volkov's reputation. Hawk headed for the door. Lock up tonight. Don't open for anyone. I'll call you when it's over. As Hawk walked to his truck, Atlas at his side, he felt something he hadn't felt since Mosul. Purpose. Mission clarity. The absolute certainty that came from having an objective and the training to achieve it. He'd spent 3 weeks adrift after medical retirement. 3 weeks wondering if the best part of his life was over, if he was just going to fade into quiet disability checks and cold soup and forgetting what it meant to matter. Volkov had given him the answer. The best part wasn't over. It was just beginning. Hawk spent the afternoon at his motel room preparing the way he'd prepared for operations in Iraq. Methodical, focused, treating this like any other mission where failure meant death. He called his daughter. Elena answered on the second ring. Dad? Her voice, surprised, cautious, cut through him. When had she started sounding so grown up? Hey, baby, how's school? It's fine. Mom said you texted. About me visiting? Yeah, I'd really like that, if you want to. Silence. Then, do you actually want me to visit? Or are you just saying that because Mom made you? Hawk closed his eyes. I want you to visit. I want to know what's going on in your life. I want to be your dad, instead of just the guy who sends birthday cards 2 weeks late. You sent my last birthday card 3 weeks late. I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do better. Are you? Elena's voice cracked. Because you've been saying that for 3 years, ever since the explosion. Ever since you came home different. Different how? Angry, scared, like you're always waiting for something bad to happen, like you don't know how to be here anymore. Hawk sat on the edge of his motel bed, phone pressed to his ear, throat tight. You're right. I don't know how to be here. Everything feels wrong. Too quiet, too safe. Like I'm waiting for an attack that never comes. Then maybe you should talk to someone. A therapist, someone who can help. I'm not good with therapy. You're not good with a lot of things, Dad. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Silence hung between them, the weight of 3 years of missed calls and broken promises. Elena, I'm in a situation here, in Miami. There's a man hurting people. I'm going to stop him, but I need you to know, if something happens to me—" "No." Elena's voice turned sharp. "You don't get to call me after 3 weeks of silence and tell me you're walking into danger. You don't get to say goodbye like it's normal." "I'm not saying goodbye, You're just what? Playing soldier again? Pretending you're still a SEAL because you don't know how to be anything else?" "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" Elena was crying now. "You know what Mom told me? She said you're not running towards something noble. You're running away from us. From the fact that your military career is over and you're scared of what comes next." Hawk's chest tightened. "Your mom said that?" "She's not wrong, is she?" Before Hawk could answer, Elena continued. "Dad, I love you, but I can't keep watching you destroy yourself. So either get help and actually try to be my father, or stop calling and pretending you care." The line went dead. Hawk sat in silence, staring at his phone. Atlas padded over, rested his head on Hawk's knee. "She's right, you know," Hawk said quietly. "I am running. Running from the fact that I don't know who I am without the teams, without the missions, without the war." He scratched behind Atlas's ears. "But I can't stop. Not yet. These people need help, and I'm the only one who can give it." Atlas whined softly, concern, not judgment. At 10:30 p.m., Hawk dressed in civilian clothes, jeans, boots, a plain black t-shirt that showed the scars on his forearms. He wanted to look approachable, but not weak, non-threatening, but not soft. Atlas wore his service vest, legal protection under ADA, but also tactical. The vest had pockets where Hawk had hidden the recording equipment Torres provided. "Everything you see, everything you hear gets recorded," Torres had said that afternoon when she dropped off the equipment. "We need documentation, multiple incidents, pattern of behavior. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary." Hawk had nodded, but they both knew engagement was inevitable. Volkov wouldn't let Hawk walk into his territory unchallenged. The Crimson Room was exactly what Hawk expected. Expensive, dark, bass-heavy music loud enough to prevent conversation. The kind of place where people proved their worth with bottle service and designer clothes. Hawk paid the cover charge, $30 he couldn't afford, and walked in, Atlas at perfect heel position. The bouncer tried to stop them. "No dogs, man." Hawk pulled out his phone, showed the ADA documentation. "Service animal, federal law. You deny entry, that's discrimination. Want to test it?" The bouncer looked at Atlas, 90 pounds of Belgian Malinois with eyes that tracked every movement. Looked back at Hawk's scarred hands, his SEAL posture, the complete absence of fear in his expression. "Whatever, but he causes problems, you're both out." Hawk walked through the club. The music was oppressive, the crowd thick. He found a high-top table with clear sightlines to the VIP section where Volkov held court. The Ukrainian sat surrounded by 8 men, all muscle, all watchful. Women in expensive dresses laughed at his jokes, paid to make him feel important. Volkov held a glass of vodka, gesturing broadly, playing the successful businessman. Then his eyes found Hawk. The recognition was instant. Volkov's smile froze. His hand stopped mid-gesture. For 3 seconds, he just stared. Then he smiled, leaned over, whispered to 2 of his men. They stood, approached Hawk's table. "Mr. Volkov doesn't remember inviting you." The first enforcer was mid-30s, neck tattoos, dead eyes, ex-military based on his bearing, probably Marines, dishonorably discharged based on the prison ink. "Don't need an invitation," Hawk said calmly. This is a public establishment. Public doesn't mean welcome. Mr. Volkov thinks you should leave. Mr. Volkov can think whatever he wants. I'm staying. The enforcer's hand moved toward Hawk's shoulder. Atlas's growl cut through the music. Low, dangerous, unmistakable warning. The enforcer pulled back. That dog's illegal in here. Service animal. Federal protection. Touch me, touch the dog. That's assault and ADA violation. Hawk tapped his phone on the table, red light blinking. Also, I'm recording everything, so please, keep going. Give me evidence. The enforcers exchanged glances, uncertain. This wasn't how these confrontations usually went. Volkov appeared, flanked by 6 more men. Up close, his cologne was overpowering, expensive but trying too hard, like everything about him. Commander Brennan. Volkov's accent made each syllable sharp. What a surprise. Is it? I thought our conversation this afternoon was clear. You stay away from my business. I stay away from you. Simple arrangement. I'm not at your business. I'm at a nightclub, enjoying a drink. Totally one unrelated to you. Volkov's smile was ice. Nothing in this club is unrelated to me. I own it. The liquor license, the property, even the people drinking here tonight. Many of them owe me money. This is my territory. Then you should probably treat it better. Health code violations, fire exits blocked, occupancy limits exceeded. Want me to continue? Volkov leaned closer. You're playing a dangerous game. Not playing, working. I'm helping the FBI build a RICO case against your organization. Thought you should know. The VIP section went silent. Volkov's men tensed. Hands moved toward concealed weapons. Volkov's laugh was forced. The FBI. They've been building a case for years. How's that working out for them? Better now. See, they have something new. Me. A witness who's not afraid of you, who knows exactly what you are, and isn't impressed. You should be afraid. Volkov's voice dropped to a whisper. I know where you sleep. That motel on Biscayne Boulevard, room 143. I know your daughter's name. Elena Brennan. 16 years old, lives with your ex-wife in Virginia Beach, goes to Princess Anne High School. Hawk's blood went cold. Volkov continued, smile widening. I know you have $53 in your wallet. Your disability check doesn't clear for another 2 weeks. I know you drink your coffee black because you can't afford cream. I know you wake up screaming 3 nights a week from nightmares about Mosul. He straightened. So here's my final offer. Leave Miami tonight. Get in your broken truck with your dog and drive away. Forget you ever met me, and I'll forget you exist. And the Vega family? Their debt stands. That's business. But they'll be alive. You interfere again, and I can't promise that. Hawk stood slowly. He was shorter than Volkov by 4 inches, but something in his movement made the Ukrainian step back. I'm not leaving. I'm not forgetting. And you're going to prison. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow, but soon. And when you go, I'm going to visit you in your cell and remind you that you could have walked away. Volkov's face went purple. You arrogant. He shoved Hawk hard, both hands to the chest. Hawk didn't stumble, didn't even rock back, just absorbed the force, perfectly balanced. That's assault, Hawk said calmly. On camera. First charge. Volkov grabbed Hawk's collar, pulled him close, his other hand balling into a fist. You want charges? I'll give you charges. Atlas launched. The Belgian Malinois moved with missile precision. He didn't bite, not yet, but positioned himself between Hawk and Volkov, teeth bared, hackles raised, an 85-pound warning that the next move would have consequences. Volkov released Hawk, stumbling back. "Control your animal!" "He is controlled. He's protecting me from assault, which is exactly what he's trained to do." Volkov's men circled closer, 8 of them now, all armed based on how they moved. The music stopped. The DJ, clearly paid to watch for trouble, had killed the sound. The crowd backed away, forming a circle, everyone with phones out, recording. Perfect. More witnesses. "This ends one of 2 ways, Hawk said, loud enough for the crowd. "You let me leave peacefully, or your men assault me and I defend myself. Either way, it's documented. Either way, it goes in the FBI's case file. Your choice." One of the enforcers pulled a collapsible baton, extended it with a sharp click. "No choice." The enforcer swung at Hawk's head. Hawk blocked, redirected the baton, stepped inside the enforcer's reach, delivered a precise strike to the solar plexus. The man folded, gasping. A second enforcer rushed in. Hawk's elbow caught him in the jaw. Controlled force, enough to stun but not seriously injure. The enforcer dropped. A third pulled a knife, 4-inch blade, illegal concealed carry. He lunged. Atlas intercepted, caught the man's wrist in his jaws, not biting through, but applying enough pressure to force the weapon free. The knife clattered to the floor. Atlas maintained his hold, keeping the man pinned. Hawk faced the remaining 5 enforcers. They hesitated now, realizing this wasn't a random retired sailor. This was a professional. Trained. Dangerous. "Kill him!" Volkov screamed. "I don't care about cameras! Kill him now!" The enforcers moved together, coordinated, military training obvious. Hawk had fought better. In Mosul, he'd held off 17 insurgents for 8 hours. 5 enforcers in a nightclub wasn't a fight. It was a demonstration. He moved through them like water, redirecting momentum, using their aggression against them. One went down to a leg sweep, another to a precise strike to the carotid artery that induced temporary unconsciousness. The third tried to grab Hawk in a bear hug. Hawk broke the hold with a simple joint lock, put the man face down on the floor. The fourth pulled a taser. Hawk kicked it from his hand, followed with a sweep that dropped him. The fifth, the smartest one, raised his hands and backed away. Elapsed time, 22 seconds. 8 enforcers down or neutralized. Volkov, standing alone, face purple with rage. The crowd erupted. Phones everywhere, video streaming live. Marcus Brennan versus Volkov's organization going viral in real time. "You're dead," Volkov's voice cracked. "You hear me? Dead! I will destroy everything you—" The club doors burst open. Miami PD flooded in, 10 uniformed officers, weapons drawn. Leading them, Detective Raymond Cole. Cole's eyes swept the scene. 8 enforcers on the ground, Hawk standing calm, Atlas at perfect heel. "Nobody move! On the ground! Now!" Hawk didn't move. "Detective Cole, these men assaulted me. Multiple witnesses, including video evidence. I defended myself." "All 8 of them attacked first?" "Yes. I'm not resisting. I'm standing still. You want me to comply with lawful orders? Give me a lawful order. On the ground isn't lawful when I'm the victim defending myself." Cole's face reddened. "You're under arrest for assault with a deadly weapon." "What weapon? I'm unarmed. Used only hands and defensive techniques against armed assailants. That's legal self-defense." "The dog. That's a deadly weapon." "That's a service animal protecting his handler from assault, also legal under federal law." Volkov stepped forward, adjusting his suit, putting on his injured victim performance. "Detective, Thank God you're here. This man came to my establishment, attacked my security staff, threatened me, destroyed my property, endangered my patrons. That's a lie, someone in the crowd shouted. Cole spun. Who said that? A young woman stepped forward, college age, phone in hand. I recorded everything. Volkov's men attacked first. This guy just defended himself. And that Russian dude admitted on camera he owns the club, which means all those liquor violations are his responsibility. Other voices joined in. She's right, I saw it. The SEAL didn't start it. Volkov ordered his men to kill him. Cole's calculation was visible. Too many witnesses, too many cameras, too much evidence. He couldn't just arrest Hawk without looking completely corrupt. But he tried anyway. Everyone recording, delete those videos now. This is an active crime scene. Recording is obstruction. That's false, Hawk said. Florida is a two-party consent state for audio, but visual recording in public is legal. This is public space. These people have every right to record. You're ordering citizens to destroy evidence of a crime, which is itself a crime. Detective, are you sure you want to keep going down this path? Cole's hand moved to his service weapon. You're interfering with an investigation. What investigation? You arrived 2 minutes after the assault, haven't interviewed witnesses, haven't collected evidence, haven't even identified who the aggressors were. So what exactly are you investigating? Before Cole could respond, new voices cut through the tension. FBI! Everyone stay where you are! Agent Torres entered with 6 federal agents, badges high, weapons holstered but ready. Cole went pale. This isn't federal jurisdiction. Actually, it is. We have an active RICO investigation into Dante Volkov's organization. This nightclub is listed as a money laundering asset, which means any crimes committed here fall under our purview. Torres looked at Hawk. Commander Brennan, are you injured? No, ma'am. Defended myself successfully against 8 armed assailants. And you have evidence of the assault? Hawk held up his phone. Video and audio, time-stamped, showing Mr. Volkov ordering his men to kill me despite camera evidence. Also showing him threatening my daughter by name, which constitutes interstate threats if we want to add federal charges. Torres smiled. We do want to add federal charges. She turned to Cole. Detective, you're dismissed. This is now a federal scene. We'll handle the investigation. You can't just, we can, and we are. Leave now, before I add obstruction charges to the list of crimes we're investigating regarding your relationship with Mr. Volkov. Cole looked at Volkov. Some silent communication passed between them. Then, Cole led his officers out, defeated. Volkov turned his rage on Torres. This is harassment. I'm a legitimate businessman. I'll have my lawyers. Your lawyers will be very busy. We're executing search warrants on 8 of your properties tonight, including this club. Torres gestured to her agents. Secure the scene. Collect all video evidence. Interview everyone who saw what happened. As the club emptied, as federal agents swarmed the space, Volkov found himself surrounded, outmaneuvered. For the first time, Hawk saw real fear in the Ukrainian's eyes. This isn't over, Volkov hissed at Hawk. Yeah, it is. You just don't know it yet. Torres approached Hawk, speaking quietly. That was reckless. You could have been killed. But I wasn't. And now you have attempted murder on camera, assault, threats, conspiracy? How's that RICO case looking? Better. Much better. Torres glanced at Volkov, being questioned by agents. But he's right about one thing. This isn't over. He's going to escalate. Go after softer targets. The Vega family, anyone else who's helped you. He'll burn down businesses, hurt people, make examples. That's how men like him operate when they're cornered. Hawk felt the weight of that. So we need to move faster. Get him in custody before he can retaliate. We're trying, but even with tonight's evidence, his lawyers will have him out in hours. We need the full case. Financial crimes, pattern of extortion, witness testimony. That takes time. How much time? Days. Maybe a week. He'll kill people in a week. I know. Torres's frustration was evident. Which is why I need you to lay low. Stop provoking him. Let us work the investigation. Can't do that. Commander, he knows where I live. Knows my daughter's name. Threatened her directly on camera. You think he's going to wait patiently while you file paperwork? Hawk shook his head. He's coming for me tonight. Tomorrow. Soon. And when he does, I'm going to be ready. You're one man. I'm one man he can't buy, can't intimidate, and can't kill easily. That makes me valuable. Hawk clipped Atlas's leash. Get your case built, Agent Torres. I'll keep Volkov distracted. As Hawk walked toward the exit, one of Torres's agents stopped him. Commander, we found something in Volkov's office. You need to see this. The office was upstairs. Private, luxurious, everything Volkov pretended to be. On his desk, agents had found a ledger. Not digital. Old school, paper records. Names, amounts, dates. Hawk scanned the pages, recognized names from the list Isabella and Carlos had given him. Maria Santos, Jessica Morales, 19 other women. But there were more, so many more. 52 names total. Jesus, Hawk whispered. 52 victims. The agent nodded grimly. And these are just the ones he documented. Probably more who never made it into his records. One name caught Hawk's eye, recently added, just hours ago. Isabella Vega. Next to it, a note. Debt collection via alternative means, high value, priority acquisition. Hawk's hands clenched into fists. Volkov had already decided Isabella's fate. Already planned to use her as payment for Carlos's debt. I need a copy of this ledger, all of it. It's evidence, I know. But I need proof to show the other victims, to convince them to testify. They need to see they're not alone. The agent looked at Torres, who'd followed them upstairs. She nodded. Make him a copy. Redact names for witness protection, but give him enough to work with. As Hawk left the Crimson Room, ledger copy in hand, his burner phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Heavy breathing. Then a voice, distorted, mechanical. You made a very big mistake tonight, Commander. Very big. Now I make you pay. Not fast, slow. Everyone you care about. Starting with a pretty girl with a bruised throat. The line went dead. Hawk was already running for his truck, Atlas sprinting beside him. He dialed Carlos's cell. No answer. He tried Isabella's phone. No answer. He called the restaurant landline. Busy signal. Hawk's truck tore out of the parking lot, tires screaming. The restaurant was 12 minutes away. He made it in 7. Running red lights, pushing the dying transmission past its limits. Casa Corazon's lights were still on. The front door hung open. Glass from broken windows littered the sidewalk. Hawk grabbed his service pistol from under the seat. Technically illegal for a civilian to carry, but he'd worry about legality later. Atlas, quiet approach, search. They moved in tactical formation. Hawk on point, Atlas sweeping, both silent as ghosts. The restaurant was destroyed. Tables overturned, equipment smashed, gasoline smell heavy in the air, accelerant ready to burn. And in the back office, Carlos lay unconscious, blood pooling from a head wound. Isabella was gone. On the wall, written in what looked like Isabella's lipstick. Hawk checked Carlos's pulse. Weak, but present. He called 911, then Torres. "They took her. Volkov's men took Isabella." Torres's voice was sharp with alarm. "When?" 15 minutes ago, maybe 20. They left Carlos alive as a message. Said I have 24 hours to leave town or she dies. We'll issue an Amber Alert. Get every cop looking. Half the cops work for Volkov. They'll report her location straight to him. Hawk was pacing now, thinking tactically, fighting the panic that wanted to overwhelm training. We need to find her ourselves, fast, before he moves her somewhere we can't track. How? We don't even know where he'd take her. Hawk looked at the ledger copy in his hand. 52 names, 52 victims, all documented, all tracked. They were all taken to the same place before Volkov collected payment. The ledger. Does it have addresses? Locations where the assaults happened? Torres was already checking her copy. Yes, multiple properties, all owned by shell companies we traced to Volkov. Wait, there's one used repeatedly. Industrial warehouse in the Port District. 23 of the 52 assaults happened there. That's where he'd take her. Familiar ground, soundproof, isolated. Commander, you can't go in alone. Let us organize a tactical response. That takes hours. Isabella doesn't have hours. She has minutes before Volkov decides to make good on his threat. Then wait for my team. 30 minutes. We'll breach together. 30 minutes is too long. Hawk hung up, looked at Atlas. You remember Kandahar? Building-to-building clearing. Just you and me against 30 hostiles. Atlas's tail wagged once. Ready? Then let's go get her. Paramedics arrived as Hawk was leaving. He gave them quick information about Carlos. Head trauma, unconscious, needs CT scan. Then he and Atlas were gone, driving into the night toward the Port District, toward the warehouse where Volkov was probably already hurting Isabella, toward a fight Hawk knew he might not walk away from. But he'd walked into worse odds before, and he'd walked out alive. Tonight wouldn't be any different. It couldn't be, because Isabella Vega didn't have anyone else. The warehouse sat at the edge of the industrial port district, surrounded by shipping containers and abandoned vehicles. No lights, no movement. Just the kind of isolated structure where screams wouldn't carry beyond the walls. Hawk parked 3 blocks away, killed the engine, sat in silence for 30 seconds, breathing, centering, becoming the operator he'd been trained to be. His phone buzzed. Torres. Team is 20 minutes out. Do not go in alone. That's an order. Hawk typed back. You're FBI. I'm retired Navy. You don't give me orders. He powered off the phone. Atlas watched him, amber eyes steady, waiting for the command that would turn them from man and dog into a tactical unit. We've done this before, Hawk said quietly. Kandahar, Mosul, Ramadi. Different countries, same mission. Get in, extract the hostage, get out. Can you still do it? Atlas's tail wagged once. Affirmative. Hawk checked his service pistol. Sig Sauer P226, 15 rounds in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. Not much firepower for what he was walking into, but SEALs were taught to fight with whatever they had. They approached the warehouse, using shipping containers for cover. Hawk moved the way he'd moved through Kandahar, silent, economical, every step calculated. Atlas matched him perfectly, years of joint training making them extensions of each other. 2 guards stood outside the main entrance, armed with AR-15s. Professional stance, military bearing. These weren't street thugs. These were trained operators. Volkov had upgraded his security. Hawk studied them through the gap between containers. Radio earpieces, body armor under their jackets, coordinated patrol pattern. They knew what they were doing, which meant direct approach was suicide. Hawk circled to the warehouse's east side, found a loading dock. Roll-up door partially open. Maintenance access, probably. He signaled Atlas. Silent approach. Threat assessment. They slipped under the door into darkness. Hawk's eyes adjusted slowly. The warehouse interior was massive. 2 stories, catwalks overhead, office spaces built into the second floor. And somewhere in this labyrinth, Isabella was being held. Hawk heard voices. Ukrainian. 3 distinct speakers, maybe 4. Moving closer. He pressed against a support column, Atlas tight against his leg. The voices passed 20 feet away, close enough that Hawk could smell cigarette smoke. When they moved on, Hawk advanced, found a stairwell leading to the second-floor offices. That's where Volkov would be. High ground, psychological advantage, making the victim climb to reach him. Hawk started up the stairs, testing each step for noise. At the top, a hallway. 5 doors, 4 closed, 1 open with light spilling out. From that room, Hawk heard crying. Isabella's voice, broken and terrified. "Please, I don't know where he is, I swear." A slap. The sound echoed. Isabella cried out. Volkov's voice. "Lying. You're lying. He called you, warned you. Where is the commander?" "I don't know. He just told us to lock up. He didn't say—" Another slap. Harder. Hawk's vision tunneled. Red crept in at the edges. Every instinct screamed to rush in, to end this, to make Volkov pay for every second of suffering. But rushing meant getting Isabella killed. Meant walking into a room full of armed men without knowing the layout, the positions, the threats. So Hawk did something harder than rushing. He waited. Listened. Counted. Volkov. 2 other voices, the enforcers from the nightclub who'd survived. And someone else. Voice familiar. Cold. Authoritative. Detective Raymond Cole. "The girl doesn't know anything useful," Cole said. "Brennan's too smart to tell civilians his plans. Waste of time interrogating her." "Then what do you suggest?" Volkov's frustration was evident. "Use her as bait. Let word spread that you have her. Brennan's the type who'll come for her. When he does, we're ready." Ambush. No cameras this time. No witnesses. Just a body in the bay and a missing girl nobody can find. And the FBI? Torres is stuck in bureaucracy. Search warrants take time. By the time she gets here, this place will be cleaned out. No evidence, no victim, no case. Isabella's voice, weak. "You're a police officer. You're supposed to protect people." Cole laughed. "I protect people who pay me, sweetheart, and you're not on that list." Hawk had heard enough. He pulled out his phone, still powered off, turned it on long enough to send 1 text to Torres. "Cole is here helping Volkov. Officer down protocol may be necessary." He powered it off again before they could track the signal. Then he moved. The door was partially open. Hawk could see into the room now. Isabella sat tied to a chair, face bruised, blood running from her split lip. Volkov stood over her. Cole leaned against a desk. 2 enforcers flanked the door. 4 armed hostiles. 1 restrained victim. Tactical advantage? None. Element of surprise? Total. Hawk gave Atlas the hand signal they'd practiced 10,000 times. Protect. Attack on command. Target, armed hostiles. Atlas's body tensed. Ready. Hawk stepped into the doorway, weapon raised, voice calm as death. Let her go. 4 heads whipped toward him, hands moved toward weapons. Move and you die, Hawk said. All of you. Starting with Volkov. His pistol was aimed center mass at the Ukrainian, finger on trigger. Training made the shot automatic. 15 feet, stationary target, guaranteed hit. Volkov smiled. Commander, right on time. Detective Cole said you'd come. I'm saying it one more time. Let her go. Untie her. Step away. Or what? You shoot me, then my men shoot you. Then we both die and the girl still ends up dead. Nobody wins. Wrong. I shoot you, my dog attacks your men, and I put down anyone still standing. Cell training versus thugs. Guess who wins? Cole pushed off the desk. You're bluffing. You're not going to. Hawk shot. Put a round into the desk 6 inches from Cole's hand. The detective jumped back, face white. Not bluffing. Next one goes through your kneecap. After that, I work my way up. Volkov's eyes narrowed. You just fired the weapon in an enclosed space with a hostage present. Very unprofessional. I'm retired. Don't have to be professional anymore. Just effective. Hawk's aim never wavered. Untie her. Now. One of the enforcers made his move, reached for the pistol at his hip. Atlas, attack! The Belgian Malinois launched, hit the enforcer mid-draw, took him to the ground. Jaws locked on his gun hand. The pistol clattered away. The second enforcer raised his weapon. Hawk shot. Caught him in the shoulder. Controlled, non-lethal, disabling. The man screamed, his gun falling. Volkov dove behind the desk. Cole pulled his service weapon. Hawk was already moving. Tactical roll, coming up behind an overturned filing cabinet. Cole's shot went wide, punching into the wall where Hawk had been standing. Detective, you just fired at a federal witness. That's attempted murder of a federal witness. You're done. You're the one who'll be done. Cole fired again, wild, panicked. Hawk waited for the third shot. Counted. Cole was using a standard police-issue Glock 22, 15-round magazine, 12 rounds left after 3 shots. Except Cole wasn't trained for combat. He was scared, and scared shooters made mistakes. Cole broke cover to advance. Hawk's shot was precise, hit Cole's weapon hand. The detective dropped his Glock, clutching his bleeding hand, screaming. Volkov popped up from behind the desk, his own pistol raised. Enough! He pressed the barrel against Isabella's temple. Her eyes went wide with terror. Drop your weapon, Commander, or I paint the wall with her brain. Hawk's calculation was instant. Distance, 12 feet. Angle, poor. Volkov using Isabella as a human shield. Probability of clean shot without hitting hostage, 20%. Unacceptable. He lowered his weapon, didn't drop it. Okay. Just don't hurt her. I said drop it. And I said I'm lowering it. You want me to drop it? You let her go first. Trade. Me for her. Volkov laughed. You think I'm stupid? You're a SEAL. The moment I release her, you'll kill us all. Probably. But if you hurt her, I'll definitely kill you. Slow. Painful. The way I was trained to interrogate enemy combatants. Hawk's voice dropped to a whisper. I know 17 different ways to keep a man conscious while removing pieces of him. Want to find out which one I use first? Volkov's hand trembled slightly. You're insane. I'm motivated. Different thing. Hawk took a step forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to let Isabella go. You're going to surrender to the FBI, and you're going to spend the rest of your life in federal prison. Those are your options. My options include killing this girl and walking out of here. No, they don't. Because my backup just arrived. Volkov's eyes flicked to the door. You're lying. The window exploded inward. Flashbang grenade. The room erupted in blinding light and deafening sound. Hawk had been expecting it, closed his eyes at the last second, covered his ears. When the blast faded, he moved. Volkov was disoriented, stumbling. Hawk closed the distance in 3 strides, struck Volkov's gun hand, sent the weapon flying, followed with an elbow strike to Volkov's jaw. The Ukrainian went down hard. FBI tactical team poured through the door. "Federal agents, hands up, now!" Hawk stepped back, hands raised, weapon on the floor. "Commander Marcus Brennan, federal witness. The hostage is Isabella Vega. Suspects are Dante Volkov and Detective Raymond Cole of Miami PD."
Agent Torres entered, weapon drawn, taking in the scene. "Commander, I told you to wait. You were taking too long. You could have been killed, but I wasn't, and Isabella's alive. That's what matters." Torres holstered her weapon, moved to Isabella, cut her restraints with a tactical knife. "You're safe now. Ambulance is on the way." Isabella collapsed into Torres's arms, sobbing.
"He was going to kill me. He said I was payment for my father's debt."
"He's not going to hurt anyone ever again." Torres looked at Volkov being handcuffed by tactical agents. "Dante Volkov, you're under arrest for kidnapping, assault, attempted murder, and about 50 other charges we're still tallying. You have the right to remain silent." Volkov spat blood. "My lawyers will have me out by morning." "Your lawyers are also under investigation. We raided your financial records tonight. Found payments to 14 different law firms, 8 judges, and 57 police officers across 3 counties." Torres smiled coldly. "RICO charges, Volkov. Federal. No bail. You're done." For the first time, Hawk saw Volkov's confidence crack. Real fear entered his eyes. Cole was screaming, "I need a doctor! He shot me! Police officer down!" Torres walked to him, looked at his bleeding hand. "Detective Cole, you're also under arrest. Corruption, obstruction of justice, attempted murder of a federal witness." She leaned closer. "And by the way, you're not a police officer anymore. You're a suspect. Big difference." As FBI agents secured the scene, as paramedics arrived to treat Isabella and the wounded enforcers, Hawk found himself sitting on the floor, adrenaline crash hitting hard. Atlas padded over, licked his face, concerned, loyal. "Good boy," Hawk whispered. "You did good." Torres knelt beside him. "You're bleeding." Hawk looked down. He'd been grazed. Cole's second shot had clipped his arm. He hadn't even felt it during the fight. "It's nothing." "It's a gunshot wound. You're getting checked out." "After. I need to see Carlos. Tell him his daughter's okay." "Carlos is at the hospital, head trauma. He'll live, but he's unconscious." Hawk closed his eyes. "This is my fault. I pushed Volkov, made him escalate. Carlos got hurt because of me." "Carlos got hurt because Volkov is a violent criminal. You didn't make him violent. You just made him visible." Torres helped Hawk stand. "Come on, let's get you patched up. Then you're giving me a full statement about everything that happened here." The ambulance ride was a blur. Paramedics treated Hawk's gunshot wound, through and through, no major damage, butterfly stitches and bandages. Isabella rode in the same ambulance, wrapped in a shock blanket, holding Hawk's hand.
"Thank you,"
she said hoarsely.
"You came for me."
"Of course I came."
"Why? You barely know me."
Hawk thought about how to answer that. About the teammates who died protecting people they'd never met. About the weight of surviving when others hadn't. About needing to make that survival mean something. "Because that's what we do," he said finally. "We protect people who need protecting. Simple as that." Isabella's grip tightened. Nothing about you is simple, Commander. At the hospital, chaos. Carlos was out of surgery, skull fracture, but surgeons were optimistic. Isabella was examined, treated for her injuries, given sedatives to help her sleep. Hawk found a quiet corner in the waiting room, pulled out his phone, called his daughter. Elena answered immediately. Dad? I'm alive. I know, I've been watching the news. Retired Navy SEAL rescues kidnapping victim, exposes major crime ring. You're trending on Twitter. I don't know what that means. It means everyone's calling you a hero. I'm not a hero, Elena. I just did what needed doing. Silence. Then, I'm sorry for what I said earlier about you running away. You weren't wrong. Maybe not, but I wasn't fair either. You are trying. You just don't know how yet. Hawk's throat tightened. I want to be a better father. I want to figure out how to be here for you instead of always chasing the next mission. Then stop chasing. Just be. I don't know if I can. Then learn, the same way you learned everything else. One day at a time. Elena paused. Dad, I still want to visit this summer, if you still want me to. I do, more than anything. Okay, then I'll see you in June. And Dad, I'm proud of you. Even when I'm mad at you, I'm proud of you. The line went dead. Hawk sat in the waiting room, Atlas at his feet, and let himself feel the weight of the night. The fear, the violence, the desperate calculation of shooting angles and threat assessment. The moment when Volkov had put the gun to Isabella's head, and Hawk had known, absolutely known, that one wrong move would end her life. He'd made the right moves this time. But eventually, wouldn't he make the wrong one? Torres found him an hour later. Carlos is awake, asking for his daughter. And the charges against Volkov? Federal kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon, witness intimidation, conspiracy to commit murder. Plus the RICO charges for his organization. 52 counts of sexual assault, money laundering, corruption of public officials. Torres sat beside him. He's looking at life without parole, and that's before we flip his associates and add their testimony. Cole? Singing like a canary. He's giving us everyone, judges, cops, city officials, the whole network, in exchange for reduced sentencing. How reduced? 20 years instead of life? He'll be 70 before he sees freedom again. Torres looked at Hawk. You did this. You broke open a case we've been working for 3 years. You gave 52 victims justice. You freed an entire neighborhood from fear. I just didn't look away. Most people do. That's what makes you different. Torres pulled out a folder. Official offer, FBI consultant, contract basis. We need someone with your skill set for organized crime cases. Someone who can go places we can't. Who can earn trust from communities that don't trust law enforcement. Who can recognize threats we might miss. Hawk took the folder but didn't open it. I'll read it. Think about it. Give you an answer in a few days. Fair enough. Torres stood. Get some rest, Commander. You've earned it. After she left, Hawk finally opened the folder. Contract terms. Salary, enough to get out of the motel, afford better than soup. Assignment details. Locations across Florida where organized crime networks operated. Places where people needed protection, and traditional law enforcement couldn't provide it. It was everything he'd been trained for. Everything he'd spent 14 years doing in different countries, different contexts. Same mission, different uniform. Isabella appeared in the doorway. Hospital gown, IV in her arm, but walking under her own power. You should be resting, Hawk said. Couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about. She sat beside him. About how close I came. If you hadn't come, if you'd been 5 minutes later, 10 minutes, if you'd decided I wasn't worth the risk.
You were always worth the risk.
Why? You don't know me. We met yesterday. I don't even know what day it is anymore.
Her voice cracked.
Why would you risk your life for someone you just met?
Hawk thought about Afghanistan, about the teammates who died protecting people they'd never met, about the IED that had ended his career because he'd stayed behind to cover their extraction, about the weight of living when others had died, about the need, the desperate, consuming need, to make that survival mean something.
Because if I don't,
Hawk said finally,
then what's the point? If I survive when better people died, if I have these skills and this training, and I don't use them to protect people who need protecting, then what was it all for?
Isabella took his hand.
You're a good man, Commander.
I'm just a man who couldn't walk away.
Same thing.
They sat in silence, waiting for Carlos to be ready for visitors, waiting for the night to end, waiting for whatever came next. Eventually, a nurse found them.
Mr. Vega is awake, asking for his daughter.
Isabella stood, pulling Hawk with her.
Come with me, please. He'll want to thank you.
Carlos's hospital room was sterile, beeping monitors, IV lines. But he was conscious, alert. When he saw Isabella, tears ran down his face.
Mija, thank God. I thought they'd killed you. I'm okay, Papa. Commander Brennan saved me. Saved both of us.
Carlos looked at Hawk, extended a shaking hand. I can never repay you. Don't need repayment. Hawk hesitated. Just be a good father. Love your daughter. Build your restaurant back. That's payment enough.
The restaurant's destroyed. Equipment smashed. No way I can afford.
FBI's seizing Volkov's assets. Agent Torres said part of that will go to restitution for his victims. Your debt wiped out. And you'll get compensation for the damage. Hawk smiled slightly. You're free. Both of you. No more protection money. No more threats. It's over. Carlos wept. Isabella held his hand, crying too, but smiling through the tears. Hawk excused himself, gave them privacy, walked out into the hospital hallway with Atlas. The sun was rising, orange light through the windows. A new day. Hawk felt it in his bones, the shift from darkness to light, from fear to hope, from being hunted to being free. His phone buzzed. Torres. Press conference at 9 a.m. DOJ wants you there. Media is calling you a hero. Hawk texted back. I'm not a hero. Just did what needed doing. That's what heroes always say. Be there. That's not a request. Hawk pocketed the phone, looked at Atlas. What do you think, boy? Should we stick around? Keep fighting these fights? Atlas's tail wagged, enthusiastic, clear. Yeah, Hawk said. That's what I thought too. He walked out of the hospital into the Miami morning toward whatever came next, knowing that retirement wasn't an end. It was just a new beginning. The press conference was chaos. Reporters shouting questions, camera flashes, microphones thrust forward like weapons. Hawk stood at the podium beside Agent Torres and the FBI Miami field office director, feeling more exposed than he'd ever felt in combat. At least in combat, the enemy was clear. Commander Brennan, is it true you single-handedly took down Dante Volkov's entire organization? Hawk leaned toward the microphone. No, the FBI built the case over 3 years. I just provided additional evidence. But you stormed a warehouse alone to rescue Isabella Vega? I wasn't alone. I had my K-9 partner, and FBI tactical support arrived shortly after. Another reporter pushed forward.
Sources say you were shot during the rescue. How does it feel to be a hero?
Hawk's jaw tightened. I'm not a hero. Heroes are the people I served with who didn't come home. I'm just someone who saw a young woman in danger and couldn't walk away.
Commander, what made you intervene at Casa Corazon? You're medically retired. You could have called the police.
The police were compromised. Detective Cole was on Volkov's payroll. If I'd called 911, Isabella Vega would be dead. The reporters erupted.
Are you saying Miami PD is corrupt?
Torres stepped in.
What Commander Brennan is saying is that this investigation uncovered significant corruption at multiple levels.
57 officers across 3 counties have been arrested in connection with Volkov's organization. But the vast majority of Miami's law enforcement officers are honest, dedicated professionals. How many victims were there? 52 documented cases of sexual assault, 19 businesses under extortion. At least 9 suspicious deaths we're reinvestigating, and we believe there are more victims who haven't come forward yet. A female reporter in the front row stood.
Commander, my name is Maria Chen. I'm Jessica Morales' older sister. Jessica was assaulted by Volkov 7 months ago. She tried to report it but was ignored. Then she was attacked in her apartment and left Miami. She's watching this press conference right now from Atlanta. Do you have anything to say to her?
Hawk looked directly at the camera. Jessica, if you're watching, it's over. Volkov can't hurt you anymore. He's in federal custody facing life in prison, and if you're ready to testify, the FBI will protect you. Your voice matters. What happens to you matters, and you're not alone.
Maria Chen's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. She needed to hear that.
After the press conference, Hawk escaped to a quiet hallway, pulled out his phone, saw 17 missed calls. Most were from media outlets. One was from Linda, his ex-wife. He called her back.
I saw the news, Linda said immediately. Elena showed me. You rescued someone.
Yeah.
Marcus, what are you doing? You're supposed to be retired, building a new life, not running into warehouses and getting shot at.
I know.
Do you? Because from here, it looks like you're still trying to be a SEAL, still trying to prove you're worth something by risking your life.
Hawk leaned against the wall. Maybe I am. But Linda, that girl would be dead if I hadn't gone in. Her father would be dead. And Volkov would still be out there hurting people. And that's your responsibility? To save everyone? When I'm the only one who can? Yeah, it is. Linda was quiet for a long moment. Elena wants to talk to you. She made me promise to put her on if you called back. A click, then his daughter's voice. Dad? Hey, baby. Mom's right, you know. You can't save everyone. But I watched that press conference. Watched you tell that woman she wasn't alone. And Dad, that mattered. That really mattered. Elena paused. So I'm not mad anymore. I'm just scared. Scared that one day you're going to walk into danger and not walk back out. I'll be careful. That's not a promise. That's a hope. It's the best I can offer. I know. Elena's voice softened. I love you, Dad. Even when you're impossible. Even when you make me crazy. I love you. I love you too. After she hung up, Hawk stood in the hallway for a long time, phone in his hand, thinking about what it meant to be a father from 1,000 miles away. What it meant to protect strangers while his own daughter watched from afar, terrified he'd die for someone else's cause. Agent Torres appeared. Commander, there's someone here to see you. Multiple someones, actually. She led him to a conference room. Inside, 17 women sat around a table, all different ages, backgrounds,
but sharing the same haunted look Hawk recognized from Isabella's eyes. "Commander Brennan," Torres said, "these are victims of Volkov's organization. They saw the press conference. They want to thank you, and they want to testify." Hawk stood at the doorway, overwhelmed. "You don't need to thank me." An older woman, maybe 45, professional clothes, carefully controlled composure, stood. "Yes, we do. My name is Linda Morrison. Volkov assaulted me 4 years ago. I reported it to the police. Detective Cole told me I was confused, that it was a misunderstanding, that pressing charges would ruin my reputation. I believed him. I stayed silent." Her voice cracked. "And because I stayed silent, 51 more women were hurt. I have to live with that." "That's not your fault," Hawk said. "Volkov is responsible for his crimes. Cole is responsible for the cover-up. You're a victim, not a villain." "But if I'd been braver, if I'd fought harder..." "You did what you could with what you knew. That's all anyone can do." Hawk entered the room, sat down. "I'm not special. I'm not braver than you. I just had training and backup you didn't have. That doesn't make me better. It makes me luckier." Another woman spoke up, young, maybe 20. "My name is Carmen. Volkov, he told me everyone went through it, that it was normal, that if I complained, I was weak. I believed him. I feel so stupid." "You're not stupid. You were manipulated. There's a difference. Volkov is a professional predator. He spent 15 years perfecting his technique. He knows exactly what to say to make victims doubt themselves." Carmen wiped her eyes. "Will you be there? When we testify? I don't know if I can face him alone." Hawk looked at Torres. She nodded. "Yes," Hawk said. "I'll be there. All of you. Every testimony. You won't face him alone." The meeting lasted 3 hours. Each woman shared her story, each one adding another piece to the case against Volkov. By the end, Hawk understood the true scope of what they'd stopped. Not just 52 documented victims, but the hundreds more who would have been victimized in the years to come. After they left, Hawk sat alone in the conference room, emotionally exhausted. Torres brought coffee. "You made a difference today," she said. "Those women, some of them haven't spoken about their assaults since they happened. You gave them permission to be heard." "I just listened." "That's more than most people do." Torres sat across from him. "Have you decided about the consultant position?" "If I take it, what's the first assignment?" "Orlando." Human trafficking ring disguised as massage parlors. Victims too terrified to come forward. Local PD suspects corruption but can't prove it. We need someone who can go in, earn trust, identify the network. "Same playbook as Volkov." "Exactly, and there are dozens more like it across Florida, maybe hundreds. Men who think they're untouchable because they've bought protection." Torres leaned forward. "You proved they're not untouchable. You showed predators can be caged. We need you to keep showing them that." Hawk thought about the 17 women in that room, about Isabella's bruised throat, about Jessica Morales watching from Atlanta, finally seeing justice, about all the victims who hadn't come forward yet because they didn't believe the system would protect them. "I'll take the job, on one condition." "Name it." "Every case I work, every victim I help, I want updates. I want to know they're okay, that they're getting support, that the testimony led to conviction. I'm not just building cases, I'm protecting people. And I need to know I'm actually protecting them, not just catching predators." "Done. We have victim services for exactly that. You'll get full updates on everyone you help." They shook hands. Hawk felt something settle inside him. Not peace. He wasn't sure he'd ever feel peace again after Mosul. But purpose. direction, a reason to keep moving forward. 3 days later, federal prosecutors filed formal charges against Dante Volkov. The indictment was 147 pages long. Kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon, witness intimidation, conspiracy to commit murder. 52 counts of sexual assault, one for each victim. Money laundering, racketeering, corruption of public officials. The bail hearing lasted 6 hours. Volkov's lawyers argued he was a respected businessman, a pillar of the community, not a flight risk. The prosecutor played the surveillance video from Casa Corazon, showed Volkov strangling Isabella, showed him threatening to use her as payment for her father's debt. Then they played the audio from the Crimson Room, Volkov threatening Hawk's daughter by name, ordering his men to kill Hawk despite cameras recording. The judge denied bail. "Mr. Volkov, you are remanded to federal custody pending trial. Given the severity of the charges and the evidence of witness intimidation, you will remain in custody without bond." Volkov's face went white. "This is a miscarriage of justice. I have rights." "You have the right to remain silent," the judge said coldly. "I suggest you exercise it." As marshals led Volkov away, he locked eyes with Hawk sitting in the gallery. "This isn't over," Volkov mouthed. Hawk just smiled. Detective Raymond Cole's hearing was shorter. He pleaded guilty to corruption, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy. In exchange for testimony against Volkov's network, prosecutors recommended 20 years. The judge accepted the plea. "Detective Cole, you betrayed your oath. You protected predators instead of victims. You destroyed lives for money. 20 years is merciful compared to what you deserve." Cole was led away in handcuffs, head down, refusing to look at anyone. Over the next 2 weeks, 57 more arrests followed. Police officers, city officials, 2 assistant prosecutors, a circuit court judge, all connected to Volkov's network, all bought and paid for. Miami PD launched an internal investigation. The chief resigned. The mayor called for reform. Local media ran exposés on corruption that had festered for 15 years. And through it all, victims came forward. By the end of the month, the count had risen from 52 to 78. 78 women who'd been assaulted, intimidated, silenced. 78 women who finally believed they'd be heard. Isabella Vega was one of the first to testify before the grand jury. Hawk went with her, sat in the waiting room while she gave her statement. When she emerged 2 hours later, she looked exhausted, but lighter. Like she'd set down a weight she'd been carrying too long. "How do you feel?" Hawk asked. "Terrified, relieved, angry, hopeful." Isabella smiled weakly. "All of it at once." "That's normal." "Is it? Because I don't know what normal is anymore. Before Volkov, I was just a medical student, working at my dad's restaurant, planning my future. Now I'm a victim, a witness, a survivor. I don't know which one I'm supposed to be." "You're all of them, and none of them. You're just Isabella. Same person you were before, just stronger now." "I don't feel strong." "You stood in front of a grand jury and told the truth about a man who tried to kill you. That's the definition of strength." Isabella looked at him. "Will you come to the trial, when it happens? I know you'll be in Orlando on your new assignment, but I'll be there. I promised, remember? You won't face him alone." She hugged him then, sudden, fierce, desperate. "Thank you for everything, for saving my life, for believing me, for making me believe in myself." Hawk hugged her back, This young woman who'd been through hell and come out fighting.
You saved yourself, Isabella. I just opened the door.
Casa Corazon reopened 3 weeks after the assault. The restaurant had been completely renovated. New equipment, repaired walls, fresh paint. But more importantly, the fear was gone. Customers packed the tables, laughter filled the air. The smell of Carlos's cooking drifted from the kitchen. Hawk sat in his usual corner booth. Isabella brought him coffee without being asked. "On the house," she said. "For life. Dad's orders." "You don't have to." "We want to. You gave us our lives back. Free coffee is the least we can do." Sophia slid into the booth across from him. "How's the FBI job?" "Good. Challenging. I leave for Orlando next week."
Human trafficking case. I saw the news. Isabella's expression turned serious. Be careful. These people, they're just as dangerous as Volkov. I know. But so am I. That's what worries me. You keep walking into danger like you're still in Afghanistan, like you're still trying to prove you deserve to have survived when your team didn't. Hawk set down his coffee. Who told you about my team? Agent Torres. She said you hold yourself responsible for their deaths, that you think saving civilians is penance. Isabella reached across the table, took his hand. Hawk, you don't need penance. You need to forgive yourself. I don't know how. Then let me help. Come to therapy with me. I'm seeing someone for PTSD from the assault. She's amazing. Helps me understand that what happened wasn't my fault, that I didn't deserve it, that I'm allowed to heal. I'm not good with therapy. Neither was I, but I'm getting better. And you deserve to get better too. Before Hawk could respond, Carlos emerged from the kitchen carrying a plate. Commander, I made you something special. Real food this time. The plate held ropa vieja, rice, black beans, fresh plantains, the kind of meal that cost more than Hawk usually budgeted for the day. Carlos, I can't afford. I said it's on the house. You saved my daughter's life. You saved my restaurant. You think I care about the cost of a meal? Carlos sat down, serious now. I want to tell you something. Before you came, I was ready to give up, to pay Volkov whatever he wanted, to let him use my daughter however he wanted, just to make the pain stop. I was broken. You were surviving. No, I was surrendering. There's a difference. You showed me that. Carlos's voice thickened. You stood up when everyone else sat down. You fought when everyone else ran. You proved that one person can make a difference. And because of that, 19 other business owners are free. 78 women have justice. An entire neighborhood isn't afraid anymore. Hawk looked around the restaurant, saw families eating together, saw people laughing without fear, saw hope where there had been only despair. It wasn't just me. The FBI built the case, but you lit the fire. You made Volkov visible. You made him vulnerable. You gave all of us permission to stop being afraid. Carlos stood, extended his hand. Thank you. From everyone in this neighborhood, thank you for not looking away. That night, Hawk returned to his new apartment. Not the motel anymore, a real apartment, courtesy of his FBI salary. 1 bedroom, nothing fancy, but his own space. Atlas had his own bed in the corner. They'd made it a home. Hawk's phone rang. Atlanta area code. He answered. Commander Brennan? This is Jessica Morales. Maria, my sister. She gave me your number. I hope that's okay. Of course. How are you? Better. Watching Volkov get arrested, watching you save Isabella the way no one saved me, it helped.
Made me feel like it wasn't my fault, like I wasn't crazy for being scared. You were never crazy. You were traumatized. There's a difference. I know that now. My therapist keeps saying it. But hearing it from you, from someone who fought him and won, it means more.
Jessica paused.
I'm testifying at the trial. Agent Torres said it's in 6 weeks. I'm coming back to Miami to tell my story.
That takes real courage.
No, courage is what you did. Storming that warehouse, facing him alone. I'm just finally doing what I should have done 7 months ago. You're doing it now. That's what matters. And Jessica, I'll be there during your testimony. You won't face him alone. Thank you. That means everything.
After she hung up, Hawk sat with Atlas, thinking about courage, about how people defined it. To the public, courage was running into danger. To victims, courage was speaking truth despite fear. To Hawk, courage was getting up every morning and choosing to keep fighting, despite knowing that violence would always find him. His burner phone buzzed. Torres. Orlando case just escalated. Suspect murdered a potential witness. We need you there, ASAP. Can you leave tomorrow? Hawk looked at Atlas. The dog was already watching him, sensing the shift. Duty calls, boy. You ready? Atlas's tail wagged. Hawk typed back. We'll be there by noon. Send briefing materials. He packed that night. Not much. Clothing, tactical gear, Atlas's food and supplies. The same drill he'd done hundreds of times as a SEAL. Different mission, same preparation. Before bed, Hawk called his sister Jennifer. She answered on the first ring. You're going to Orlando already? Jennifer said. You just finished the Volkov case. Evil doesn't take breaks. Neither can I. Marcus, you're allowed to rest, to process. To what? Sit around thinking about all the people I couldn't save? All the victims waiting for someone to help them? I can't do that, Jen. I can't be still. Then promise me something. Promise me you'll come back alive. That you won't throw yourself at danger until your luck runs out. I promise I'll be careful. That's not the same thing. It's the best I can offer. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Okay. But Marcus, remember what Dad used to say? You can't save the whole world, but you can save the part of it right in front of you. Save Orlando. Then come home. Rest. Recover. Then save the next place. But stop trying to save everything at once. I'll try. That's all I ask. The next morning, Hawk loaded his truck. Atlas jumped into the passenger seat, ready for whatever came next. As they pulled onto the highway heading north, Hawk's phone buzzed one more time. Isabella. Safe travels. Come back soon. We miss you already. And Hawk, thank you for showing me that monsters can be defeated. You changed my life. Hawk saved the message, merged into traffic. Orlando was 4 hours away. 4 hours to prepare mentally for another fight. Another network of predators. Another group of victims who needed someone to stand up when everyone else sat down. The radio played softly. Atlas dozed in the morning sun, and Hawk felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not happiness, exactly, but something close. Contentment. The knowledge that his life had meaning, that his skills served a purpose beyond destruction, that surviving Mosul wasn't random luck, but preparation for this new mission. Protecting those who couldn't protect themselves, hunting predators who thought they were untouchable, giving voice to victims who'd been silenced. It wasn't the SEAL career he'd lost, but it was a mission worth living for. The truck 8 miles. The Florida landscape rolled past, and somewhere ahead in Orlando, victims waited. Predators operated. Justice delayed, but not denied. Hawk's phone buzzed with briefing materials. He'd read them tonight at the hotel. Learn the players, identify the network, build the case. The same tactical approach that had worked in Miami would work here. Because predators were predictable, they thought they were clever, untouchable, protected. But they all made the same mistake. They thought their victims didn't matter, that silence meant consent, that fear meant acceptance. They were wrong, and Marcus Brennan, 38 years old, medically retired Navy SEAL, FBI consultant, protector of the broken, was going to prove it to them. One case at a time, one victim at a time, one predator at a time. Until the day came when evil finally learned that some men don't look away. Some men don't back down. Some men carry scars and dogs and unshakable purpose into the darkest places. And those men changed the world, not with headlines or glory, but with action, with presence, with the simple, profound decision to see suffering and refuse to accept it. Rex lifted his head, looked at Hawk, then settled back to sleep. Trusting, loyal, ready for whatever came next. Hawk drove on toward Orlando, toward another fight, toward another chance to prove that justice wasn't just a word. It was a choice. And Commander Marcus Brennan chose justice every single time. 3 months passed like water through fingers. Hawk stood in the Miami federal courthouse, watching as the jury foreman rose to deliver the verdict. The courtroom was packed, every seat filled with victims, families, reporters, people who'd lived under Volkov's shadow for 15 years. Isabella sat in the front row, her father beside her. 78 women scattered throughout the gallery, all of them waiting for the words that would finally set them free. The foreman cleared his throat. In the case of United States versus Dante Volkov, on the charge of racketeering, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of money laundering, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of kidnapping, guilty, guilty, guilty. 147 charges, 147 guilty verdicts. Volkov sat at the defense table, face stone, as his world collapsed. His lawyers had tried everything, claimed the evidence was fabricated, witnesses were coerced, Hawk had entrapped him. None of it worked. The truth was too overwhelming. When the verdict was complete, the judge looked at Volkov with open disgust. Mr. Volkov, you are a predator who spent 15 years destroying lives. You corrupted officials, silenced victims, and built an empire on suffering. This court sentences you to life in federal prison without possibility of parole on the RICO charges alone. Additional sentences on all other counts to run consecutively. The judge leaned forward. You will die in prison, Mr. Volkov, and the world will be better for it. As marshals led him away, Volkov looked back at Hawk one final time. No threats this time, no promises of revenge, just the hollow eyes of a broken man who'd finally met someone he couldn't intimidate, couldn't buy, couldn't break. Outside the courthouse, the 78 survivors gathered on the steps. Media everywhere, cameras rolling, the world watching. Isabella stepped to the microphones. She'd prepared a statement, practiced it with her therapist for weeks. But when she opened her mouth, the prepared words disappeared. My name is Isabella Vega. 3 months ago, Dante Volkov tried to kill me. He put his hands around my throat and squeezed until I couldn't breathe, until I thought I was going to die. Her voice was steady, strong. But I didn't die. Because one man, Commander Marcus Brennan, refused to look away. He stood up when everyone else sat down. He fought when everyone else was too afraid. And because of him,
78 women got justice today.
Isabella looked at Hawk, standing at the edge of the crowd.
Commander Brennan taught me something. He taught me that monsters are just men, and men can be stopped. All it takes is courage. All it takes is someone willing to say, "No more."
She turned back to the cameras.
If you're watching this and you've been hurt, if someone told you to be quiet, if you think no one will believe you, I'm telling you now, you're wrong. We believe you. We'll fight for you. You're not alone.
The other survivors joined her then, standing together on the courthouse steps. A wall of women who'd been broken and rebuilt themselves stronger. Hawk felt his throat tighten. This was what victory looked like. Not headlines or medals, just people reclaiming their voices, their power, their lives. After the press conference, Isabella found him.
"I couldn't have done that without you," she said.
You did it all yourself. I just opened the door.
You did more than that.
You showed me I was worth saving, that what happened to me mattered, that I deserved justice. She hugged him.
Thank you for everything.
As Hawk drove back to his apartment, his phone rang. Elena.
"Dad, I just watched the verdict on the news. You did it. You actually did it."
We did it. A lot of people worked on this case.
Don't do that. Don't minimize what you accomplished. You saved 78 women. You put a monster in prison. You changed an entire city.
Elena paused.
I'm proud of you, Dad. Really proud.
Thanks, baby. That means everything.
I know, which is why I need to tell you something. I'm coming to visit next month. For real this time. Mom already bought the ticket.
Hawk's chest tightened. Yeah?
Yeah. But Dad, I need you to promise me something. Promise me you'll actually be there. Not physically. I know you'll be physically present. But emotionally, mentally.
I need you to stop running long enough to actually be my father.
I promise. I've been going to therapy, twice a week, working on the PTSD, the survivor's guilt, all of it.
Really?
Really? Isabella's therapist recommended someone who specializes in combat veterans. It's hard. Really hard. But I'm trying. Elena was quiet for a moment.
That's all I wanted to hear. That you're trying.
That night, Hawk sat in Dr. Sarah Mitchell's office for his regular Thursday session. 6 weeks of therapy, and he still felt like an imposter, like he was wasting time that could be spent helping people. Dr. Mitchell seemed to read his mind.
You're doing it again, thinking about all the victims you could be saving instead of sitting here talking about feelings.
Hawk looked at her. Am I that obvious?
You're that consistent. Every session you minimize your trauma. Tell me other people have it worse, that you should just move on.
She leaned forward.
Marcus, you held your best friend while he bled out in Mosul. You were 17 feet away when the IED detonated. You spent 6 months in rehab learning to use your shoulder again. You lost your career, your identity, your sense of purpose. That's trauma, real trauma, and it deserves to be processed.
I don't have time for processing. There are victims in Orlando who need help,
and they'll still need help whether you process your trauma or let it destroy you from the inside. The difference is, if you don't deal with this, eventually you'll burn out. You'll make a mistake. You'll get yourself killed.
Dr. Mitchell pulled out a photo.
Your daughter, Elena, how old is she?
16.
Does she deserve to have a father? A living father who's present and healthy? Or does she deserve a father who sacrifices himself over and over until there's nothing left?
Hawk stared at Elena's photo. When had she grown up? When had she stopped being the little girl who used to fall asleep on his chest watching cartoons? I don't know how to be both, he said finally. I don't know how to help victims and also take care of myself. It feels selfish.
It's not selfish. It's sustainable. You can't pour from an empty cup, Marcus. If you burn out, if you break, who helps the next victim? Who saves the next Isabella?
She was right. Hawk hated it, but she was right. So what do I do?
You keep coming to therapy. You keep processing. You let yourself feel the grief and the guilt instead of burying it under the next mission. And you learn to find meaning in survival instead of searching for redemption in sacrifice.
The next morning, Hawk drove to Orlando. The briefing materials Torres had sent were extensive. 23 potential victims, massage parlors operating as fronts, a trafficking network run by someone named Victor Constantine. Different name, same playbook. Hawk met Torres at the FBI Orlando field office. She had new intel. One of the victims had agreed to talk, but only if she could meet Hawk first. Her name was Mai Nguyen, 22 years old, Vietnamese immigrant, brought to the U.S. on a student visa that turned out to be fake. She'd been trapped in the trafficking network for 8 months. Torres led Hawk to an interview room. Mai sat at the table, thin, exhausted, bruises hidden under long sleeves. When she saw Hawk, she flinched. "It's okay," Torres said gently. "This is Commander Brennan. He's here to help." Another man promising to help. Mai's English was good, but accented. "The last man who promised to help sold me to Victor." Hawk sat down slowly, kept his distance. "I'm not here to make promises. I'm here to listen. And if you decide you want help, I'll do everything I can. But that's your choice, not mine." Mai studied him. "You're the one who saved that girl in Miami, Isabella. I saw it on the news." "Yeah. Did you really storm a warehouse alone? Fight all those men?" "I had my dog with me, and the FBI showed up." "But you went in first, even though you could have died." "She needed help. I was the only one who could give it." Mai's eyes filled with tears. "No one comes for girls like me. No one cares about immigrant girls who get tricked and trapped. We're invisible." "You're not invisible to me." For the next hour, Mai told her story. How she'd been promised a scholarship to UCF, how the recruiter had seemed so professional, so legitimate, how she'd arrived in Orlando and been taken directly to the massage parlor, how her passport was confiscated, how she was told she owed $50,000 for travel expenses and would work it off, how Victor Constantine made it clear what would happen if she tried to escape. "He showed me pictures," Mai whispered, "of other girls who tried to run. What he did to them. Said the same would happen to me, to my family back in Vietnam." I believed him. Do you still believe him? I don't know. I want to believe you can stop him, but I've wanted to believe before and it only made things worse. Hawk pulled out his phone, showed her news coverage of Volkov's trial. 3 months ago, I didn't know Isabella Vega. She was just a woman being strangled in a restaurant. But I helped her anyway. And now Volkov's in prison for life. 78 women got justice. He looked at Mai. I can't promise you it'll be easy. I can't promise it won't be scary. But I can promise I won't stop until Victor Constantine is in prison and you're free. That's not a hope. That's a guarantee. Mai wiped her eyes. What do you need from me? Everything you know. Locations, names, schedules.
how the network operates, who's involved. And when we take them down, I need you to testify. He'll kill me. He'll try, but he'll have to go through me first. And I'm really hard to kill. She almost smiled. I can see that.
The operation took 2 weeks to plan. Mai provided intelligence, 3 massage parlors, a warehouse where girls were housed, a network of recruiters operating in 5 countries. Victor Constantine was careful, paranoid, protected. But he had weaknesses. He liked to visit the massage parlors personally, liked to remind the girls who owned them. That arrogance would be his downfall. On a Thursday night, Hawk and Atlas walked into Golden Lotus Massage on International Drive. The front desk girl looked nervous.
We're closing soon.
I'm here to see Victor.
There's no Victor here.
Yes, there is. Tell him Commander Marcus Brennan wants to talk about his business model. The girl disappeared into the back. 30 seconds later, Victor appeared. He was smaller than Volkov, wiry instead of massive, but his eyes held the same predatory calculation. Commander Brennan, I've heard about you. The hero of Miami. Not a hero, just a guy who doesn't like predators. Victor smiled.
Is that what you think I am? A predator? I'm a businessman, providing services.
You're a trafficker. You lure women here with fake promises, confiscate their documents, force them into prostitution. That's not business. That's slavery.
Strong words. Can you prove them?
Yeah, I can.
Hawk pulled out his phone, played a recording. Mai's testimony, detailed and damning. Names, dates, locations, everything Victor had done for the past 3 years. Victor's smile disappeared. Where did you get that?
One of your victims found her courage. Now she's finding her voice.
She's lying. Probably wants money, citizenship.
She wants justice, and she's about to get it.
The front door burst open. FBI tactical team, Torres leading. Victor Constantine, you're under arrest for human trafficking, fraud, conspiracy, and about 40 other charges we're still counting. Victor tried to run. Lasted about 3 steps before agents tackled him. As they cuffed him, he screamed at Hawk.
You don't know who you're messing with. I have connections, people who will make you disappear.
Get in line, Hawk said. You're the 3rd guy this year who's threatened to kill me. The first 2 are in federal prison. Guess where you're going? The raid uncovered 23 victims across 3 locations. All of them were given emergency visas, access to victim services, protection from deportation. Mai was there when Victor was arraigned, watched him denied bail, watched him realize his empire was over. Afterward, she found Hawk outside the courthouse. You kept your promise. Said I would. Will you keep coming? To the trial? I don't think I can testify if you're not there. I'll be there. You and all 23 women. None of you face him alone. Mai hugged him then, quick and fierce. Thank you for seeing me, for making me visible. 6 weeks later, Hawk stood on the courthouse steps in Orlando, watching 23 survivors tell their stories to the world.
Tai spoke last.
My name is Mai Nguyen. I was trafficked, enslaved, told I didn't matter. But Commander Brennan showed me I was wrong. He showed me that I do matter, that we all matter. And because of him, Victor Constantine will spend 40 years in prison. She looked at Hawk. Thank you for not looking away. That night, Hawk's phone rang. Torres. Tampa case just broke. Sex trafficking ring operating out of strip clubs. Estimated 50 victims. Local PD overwhelmed. Need you there tomorrow. Hawk looked at Atlas sleeping in the corner. Looked at the case files already spread across his table. Looked at the photo of Elena he taped to his wall. a reminder of why he needed to come home alive. "I'll be there." Before he could hang up, Torres spoke again. "Marcus, you've closed 4 major cases in 3 months, rescued over 100 victims. You're making a real difference." "Just doing the job." "No, you're doing more than the job. You're giving hope to people who'd lost it.
You're showing victims they're worth fighting for. That matters." After she hung up, Hawk sat in the silence of his apartment, thought about Isabella standing on courthouse steps, voice strong and clear. About Mai finding courage to testify. About 78 women in Miami and 23 in Orlando who could finally sleep without fear. Thought about Elena visiting next month. About learning to be a father from 1,000 miles away. About therapy sessions where he was slowly learning to carry grief without letting it destroy him. His phone buzzed. Text from Isabella. "Saw the news about Orlando. You did it again. When are you going to stop saving people and save yourself?" "I." Hawk smiled, typed back. "Working on it. Therapy's helping. Elena visits next month. One day at a time." "Good. We need you alive, Commander. There are more monsters to fight." "I know. That's why I'm learning to fight smarter instead of harder." He set down his phone, looked at Atlas. "What do you think, boy? Tampa tomorrow. 50 more victims waiting for someone to care." Atlas's tail wagged. "Yeah, that's what I thought too." Hawk began packing. Same routine he'd done dozens of times now. Tactical gear, case files, Atlas's supplies. Different city, same mission. But something had shifted. He wasn't running anymore. Wasn't trying to outrun survivor's guilt or prove he deserved to live while better men died. He was just helping. One victim at a time. One predator at a time. One city at a time. And somehow, in saving others, he was learning to save himself. His phone rang one more time. Elena. "Dad, I just wanted to say goodnight, and to tell you I'm proud of you. Not because you're a hero, though you are, but because you're trying. You're going to therapy. You're making time for me. You're learning to be human again instead of just being a weapon." "Thanks, baby. That means everything." "I know. Get some sleep, Dad." "Those 50 victims in Tampa need you sharp tomorrow." "How did you—" "I follow Agent Torres on Twitter. I like to know where you're going. Makes me feel less scared." "I'll be careful." "You better be, because I'm visiting in 4 weeks, and I expect you to be alive, healthy, and ready to actually talk to me about real things. Deal?" "Deal." After Elena hung up, Hawk sat in the darkness, feeling the weight of his purpose settle into something sustainable, something real. He'd spent 3 months proving that monsters could be stopped, that predators could be caged, that victims could find justice. Now he was learning something harder, that heroes could heal, that survivors could find peace, that saving the world, one person at a time, didn't mean sacrificing yourself in the process. The road ahead was long. Tampa tomorrow, then Jacksonville, then Tallahassee. Dozens more cases, hundreds more victims. Years of work stretching into the future. But for the first time since Mosul, Hawk wasn't afraid of the future, wasn't running from the past, was just living in the present, doing the work that mattered, surrounded by people who believed in him. Atlas stirred, came over, rested his head on Hawk's knee. "We've got a good thing going here, don't we, boy? Helping people, making a difference, finally figuring out what comes after the war." Atlas's tail wagged. Agreement. Trust. Partnership.
Hawk scratched behind his ears. Tomorrow we go to Tampa. We find those 50 victims. We stop the predators. We bring justice. And then we come home. Because that's what we do now. We fight the good fight. But we also come home. He stood, began his pre-mission routine. Check gear, review case files, prepare mentally for whatever violence waited in Tampa. But this time, he also texted his therapist, scheduled a session for when he returned, made plans to visit Isabella in Miami after the Tampa case closed.
Called his sister just to talk, to hear her voice, to remind himself he had people who loved him. Because Marcus Brennan had finally learned the most important lesson of all. You can't save the world if you destroy yourself trying. You can't give hope to victims if you've lost your own. You can't fight monsters without remembering what it means to be human. So he would fight, and he would heal, and he would keep choosing courage over fear, action over apathy, justice over indifference. One day at a time. One victim at a time. One city at a time. Until every predator was caged and every victim found their voice. That was the mission now. Not redemption or penance or proving his survival had meaning. Just simple, honest, sustainable purpose. Protecting those who needed protection. Stopping those who needed stopping. Living a life that mattered. And for Marcus Brennan, Navy SEAL, FBI consultant, protector of the broken, student of healing, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.